Hey, everybody, welcome, and I hope everybody is doing well. And I'm going to take a look at what I will simply call shorthand the Bally's deal. And what is that? That Bally's deal was introduced in a press release this morning, which looks something like that. And welcome, everybody, to Zenny 62. And it reads Bally's GLPI and the Oakland Athletics reach transformational agreement enabling state-of-the-art ballpark on the Las Vegas Strip. And the undertitle, as I'd like to call these things, reads Partnership Enabling the Athletics to Overcome a Key Hurdle for the team's expected move to Las Vegas. Now, I want to point out something that no one else has pointed out before. And it is vitally important to note that this is the first time in the Athletics' entire history in Oakland regarding a ballpark or the seeking of the construction of a new ballpark that has had a development partner. All right, I repeat, this is the first time that the Athletics have had a development partner, but it took the Athletics going to Las Vegas to get one. And it's not that Las Vegas couldn't have gotten one in the Oakland context because Dave Cobble told me that they would welcome a development partner. But guess what? The city did zero to do what we used to do as a city of Oakland with respect to economic development, match one developer with the other. But I digress. All right. Let me continue on, look at this. And some of it will be, uh, complimentary. Some of it won't be. I am, so be it. As I say, so be it. Let's just play it all where it lay. Okay. And I'm going to continue to enlarge here so that you can read it. I'm going to assume that maybe you didn't see the whole thing before, or I'm also going to assume that maybe you don't want to read the whole thing for obvious reasons. I mean, we're talking about the anatomy of a move. Okay. We're talking about a process that has gone in motion, and we're talking about a, a concerted effort on the part of a number of people in Las Vegas to do something that wasn't a concerted effort in Oakland. Note that. All right. And it could have been. Now, it reads that basically the Athletics have Bally's as a partner and Gaming Leisure Properties. Bally's, as you know, Bally's Corporation used to make the pinballs, and now they're involved in gaming and media. And so they team with Gaming and Leisure Properties. And they say, read the park is expected to welcome more than 2.5 million visitors, and that it has an attendance, or excuse me, it has a capacity of 30,000. Now, here's the trick involved in that. And one thing that I want to emphasize, the number of people just seem to forget. The assumption is that everybody will sit that's going to visit is going to, you know, be in those seats. And they're signaling, however, what I believe they're signaling is not the case. They're going to have 30,000 seats for paying fans, but they're also signaling they're going to have a lot of standing room only fans. So you put the standing room only factor into all of this, you have to remember they haven't said they won't have it. And what we've heard so far is an interpretation by people that, like the LA Times, that, hey, this thing is going to have all of these people seated, as opposed to what, for example, Giant Stadium has. The hole in the wall gang, and you can really look at a contest, and hey, maybe you don't want to be there for the entire affair, so you just want to come through, see what's happening for a bit, and then leave. That's attendance. As long as you have to go through a turnstile or some kind of way to record your attendance, even if you don't sit down, guess what, folks? That's attendance. So I'm not ready to say, oh, 2.5 million is out of the question because of the factor of standing room only fans being able to come into the facility and watch a game and stay for a period of time. That has to be taken into consideration. All right. Now, this also reads, I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit more. Uh, Substantial ballpark visitation, materially enhancing future offerings, significant offerings within the development. Um, and so basically, what they're saying is that the people you visiting the ballpark will mean you're going to want to do other things. Hey, you're going to want to go to a casino. Hey, you're going to want to go to shop. Hey, maybe you want to see a show. Whatever it is that they intend to do within that development that's not baseball, they're counting on baseball to draw people, A's fans and others, or fans of the opposing team, to do that thing as well. So this, to me, is a signal that this facility is not going to be the typical baseball park. It's going to be designed for tourists and tourist flow. And so the expectations for numbers, I don't think should be laughed at as much as people are. All right, then it reads massive unlocked potential for iconic global bands to partner, transformational impact for the evolution of Bally's database, further solidifying its global omni-channel strategy, and which what that basically means is that Bally's can take somebody like, let's say, Annie Ager's a Bally's back internet star on Instagram. She actually started news in Michigan. I met her at the 2017 NFL draft on video here at Zenny62. And now she's emerged into this big internet star. She's under the Bally's label, thanks to Casey Wasserman, her agent. And so they could send her there and produce a kind of a mini TV show around her at that ballpark. That could happen. All right. So they're basically saying, hey, look, this gives us a sort of a giant studio within which to produce new types of content. Got it. Then GLPI says they agreed to fund up 175 million toward shared improvements within the future development in exchange for a commensurate rent increase. All right. So basically, they have basically taken the 500 million that the A's projected they had to spend. GLPI is essentially helping out with part of that, knocking it down, and making their need for a publicly financed assistance different from a subsidy, okay, less. But note something, folks, and this has to be kept in mind because there are a lot of people, including Field of Schemes, who has this habit of being anti-intellectual around these things a lot, and so it's really difficult for me to wrap my mind around what Neil puts out, because as much as I want to like him, as a person, which I do, I don't like how he mischaracterizes these deals by basically oversimplifying them. The simple fact of the matter in this is that the one thing that hasn't changed in all this is the cost of the stadium projected at 1.5 billion, which drives the bond issue. So if you start with a base year assessed value there, I've gone through this before, all right, that and the assumed 3% increase per year in Clark County and Nevada parlance, all right, that does not go away. In other words, the total revenue that's expected to be generated is still the same calculatively. But what's less is the amount of money that they need to draw from it. This is a big deal because it does give the Las Vegas Stadium Authority and the Athletics enough room to say, hey, you know what? We could produce a fund for overruns. Just saying. All right. And they will have they will already have a substantial, if a couple of things are worked out, which right now are, I have to say, problematic. And I can't go into too much detail, but I will say they'll work it out. All right. But I know for a fact that there's this issue, and I'm not going to drop this particular term because if I do, it'll give the whole doggone thing away. But the bottom line is that if the A's bankers can kind of wrap their mind around the total picture of the total team, and I hope they do, then they're on their way. I think they will, but right now the A's bankers are being a bit of a pill with respect to what the government wants. All right, and I'm talking about Clark County, Las Vegas Stadium Authority, and others involved. And so if the A's bankers can just, give a little, it'll be fine. And that's as much as I'll say about that right now. So Bally's and GLPI will assign approximately 9 acres, approximately. Note it could be greater, but really I view this as one complex because even though this press release implies a demarcation point between the three organizations, the reality is I see this as one giant unit with different anchor tenants in it that all work for one objective of bringing in tourists and having them flow and spend money, or even if they don't spend money, enjoy it so that, and this is actually noted, so that from a social media perspective, a positive experience and iconic views are communicated to the world. And so everybody wants to see what this thing is all about, which I hope is still Bill Garcia's thing, his design. But at any rate, it refers to a groundbreaking agreement, and it says it's subject to passage of financing and related legislation for public financing and approved relocation on Major League Baseball as part of the agreement. Folks, I'm saying this to you right now, and I'm going to say it again. All right, pay no attention. Hey, Dave Compton, how you doing? I'll get to this in a second. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this. Pay no attention to the sock puppet, the people that are throwing up sock puppets around what to expect from from the Nevada legislators. Bottom line, they're not going to kill this. We're dealing with a state in Nevada that is fond of getting to yes from the perspective of state California, which is fond of getting to no. These are polar opposites in behavior. I saw it, and there's an old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I learned the first time with the Raiders, and I vowed I would never make these errors in perception again. I'm not going to do that. And because once again, Oakland hasn't learned jack, doesn't want to. And I even privately text one elected official and said, hey, will you please stop doing this? Because we have some rebuilding to do. But rather than do that, what they want to do is play off these childish exchanges on social media to what they believe are their own benefit. And it's not. Oakland really screwed up on this. And Oakland doesn't want to deal with the reality that it has, and the media isn't helping it either. And neither Oakland A's fans, all right? The city of Oakland massively screwed up on this, period. And that gets to what Dave was saying, where he says, looks like Vegas is throwing out the red carpet treatment for the A's. And I want to say something. Vegas is an amalgam of organizations, and you're seeing it right before your eyes. Bally's, Gaming and Leisure, Las Vegas Stadium Authority, the governor's office, a number of elected officials, all right? A number of elected officials, okay? A number of people, but mostly organizations that are all trying to form deals for their own business benefit, which happen to work also for the greater tourist good and economic development good of Las Vegas and of Clark County, because this really is in Clark County. It's not really in Las Vegas. All right. Clark County and Nevada. Kate Moose says, I heard it was 90% Las Vegas and 10% Oakland. Well, even then, it's not really Las Vegas. So take Las Vegas out of your mouth there. I hate to put it so bluntly, but I can't think of any other better way. It's actually Clark County. And since they are in what's called a Dillon's rule state, which means basically the legislature has more control, all right? And because of that, remember, the legislature is pulling the strings, and that means the governor. So the governor's tentacles are all over this in a way unlike anything we've seen before, except in the instance of the Raiders becoming the Las Vegas Raiders, who were the Oakland Raiders. That was the only other example. But clearly, we learned absolutely nothing. All right? And I'm pointing this out while it's happening, while it's unfolding, okay? Says, you're the only one in the media who understands what's going on. It's so frustrating. Certain quote journalists unquote on TV don't do their jobs. No, they're trying to make money off you. And these are folks I like personally, but let's face it, they're working for people who are saying, hey, look, we want the fans' interest. And so what they're trying to do is reflect what they think the fan thinks. If the fan were tomorrow to start criticizing the city of Oakland, they would be forced to go that way. All right. But that hasn't happened. And so what's going on is they're simply going where they believe the view money is going and the response and the engagements. And let's face it, it's easier to criticize somebody that they view has more money than they do and more power, and therefore makes us feel powerless. And now I'm talking about Oakland A's president Dave Cobble and John Fisher, who every time I think of John, I think as a former Cal Bear, and I don't think of as a billionaire. I'm sorry, I don't. And there's a whole reason for that I don't want to go into, but I don't. Now, and that's not even the whole purpose of my presentation, so let me continue, all right? So, it talks about this being a groundbreaking agreement, subject to approval of Major League Baseball, and then reads that Bally retains the ability to assign the rights to all aspects of this development, and has received material interest from development partners. So what Bally's is saying writ large is that they are the master developer, all right? And that the A's have a secondary position, okay? Within that, the Athletics don't really own the stadium. They're developing the stadium for the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. And also, someone remarked that, and I need to explain this before I move forward, okay? That how do they put it? Oh, that in the Howard Terminal parlance, the Athletics said that they were going to build through Dave Cobble. Remember, how much? $12 billion worth of development. And they were saying, we're not doing this in the case of Clark County for a Las Vegas ballpark for the Athletics. I will tell you why. You want to know why? Because they don't have the money anymore. That's why. And that's why I say I don't focus on the billionaires and everything. These things are happening before your guys' eyes, all right? And because a lot of you don't know what to look for, and I understand why you don't, all right? It's you believe what somebody else tells you, not who doesn't have a technical background on this and isn't interested in it. All right? They're not getting anybody on who has the background to explain it to you. They're just throwing out gibberish, okay? And that's precisely what they're doing. And they're snowing you in the process, and it's wrong. And the bottom line is this, that this economy is bad. All right? It's so bad. You've got high inflation rates, material issues. You cannot go out there and say, I'm going to build a $12 billion facility and attract other developers to do so. That's why the A's didn't even hold on to the 49 acres that they had. Okay, look, the way the economics worked, they had to actually check it out and say, you know what? We can't afford to build the amount that we want to build to get the tax income we want. Okay, but what can we do? Well, we know the stadium is going to be at 1.5 billion to 2 billion, and that's going to give us enough to be satisfactory. But then in terms of wanting that flow and that churn, they could not afford to make that happen. And so here comes Bally's and Gaming and Leisure to help them out. It's a scaled down situation. But to put it out there as if to say, well, the A's were lying to us, that's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I know you guys don't like the deal, but I told you the Athletics were gone a year ago. All right? For a very specific set of reasons, I laid out and I kept laying it out and I kept laying it out and I kept laying it out. And now you're dealing with it. Okay? And now you're dealing with it. And yet you keep picking at them and not, as opposed to asking the real question, which is, what the heck do we do wrong collectively? You didn't press the city council. You let the mayor get away with murder. You let the mayor consistently use her face in both mayors. And you didn't call for better. You let the project manager hide in the background. And when this person came forward and gave a presentation, you and the world knew it wasn't convincing, but you didn't say, hey, look, you need to do better. You did not press on a better performance for Oakland, from Oakland. You didn't do it. And you are the fans, and yet you're going to criticize John and Dave? All right. All right. And you're the fans of the A's, and you're criticizing the team owner and the president when you could have helped them along when they needed the help the most in dealing with it, and really were too prideful to admit, except to me on my show, that they didn't really exactly know how this tax increment financing stuff worked. And the only time they had people yapping in their face was after I started saying something. That's documented fact. But it was always to say, oh, Zinni's wrong about this. And they started doing the numbers and they figured, hey, he's not wrong. All right. And you say, why do I keep saying the word I? Because I have the background in this stuff. That's why. Enough of me talking about it right now. I'm not stopping, but I'm saying I am going to go forward here and continue with your comments. All right. The Vegas A's is a done deal now. They have the backing of casinos. Right. Thank you. The Culinary Union and the governor, an unbeatable alliance. Vegas Market, if I could send Vegas Market a bottle of wine or bouquet or whatever, I'd do it. Because if Oakland Mayor Libby Schaff had established a task force of this, we don't have the casinos, of course, right? But we do have the maritime industry, right? She could have had Gary Schnitzer and Mike Jacob and all of them sitting at one part of the table, and Dave Cobble sitting right next to them, and everybody forming a coalition to get things done. This is a coalition to get things done, formed naturally because that's the way Vegas works. Okay? And everybody who knows, every developer that goes into Vegas knows you have to form that coalition to get anything done. You can't half blanket at all. This is a common standard formula done again and again and again and again and again. And yet you're not paying attention to it? What's wrong with you guys? Okay? And you need to be storming City Hall in Oakland and saying, hey, look, we want a better government. And I'm not talking about getting rid of people. I'm talking about making the people that are there understand the need to do better in economic development. So you don't have homeless crisis. We have extraordinarily affordable housing. We have, you know what I'm saying, okay? All of these things. We have grants for people, not loans, so they can recover from this. All of this stuff can be done. Don't tell me it cannot be. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of it, okay? And you should be too. So, let me go back here. Now, go on. And so, he says, today I heard that Bally has told his employees the Trop is closing. That's a done deal. Yep. And he says the Tropicana implosion will be a sight to see. Last one was 2016, Rivera. Yep. And in favor, governor, buildings, trades, culinary workers, unions, powerful politically, culinary workers 60,000 strong. Chamber of Commerce, JF writes, casino and hotel CEO, Vegas Golden Knights owner. JF, by the way, I believe I got your email, and we'll straighten out that little thing. Thank you for getting back to me. And so he says the Nevada legislature is going to pass on a $200 million tax bill next week for Sony to build a studio in Southwest Las Vegas. Nevada knows how to do this stuff. Nevada is 10 years late on that. Okay. They're 10 years late on that. They're playing catch up. I'm not about to say it's not going to go well, but 200 million is undercapitalized. It needs to be 500 million. So if you're going to go into this late, you need to go big. That's not big enough. Just saying. All right. Dave Compton says the city of Oakland and the Bay Area is very sad that all of its sports teams are gone elsewhere and the public has nothing to look forward to in terms of sports. How sad. It is sad. And it's even sadder that, you know, we say, oh, Oakland roots, yay, which I'm happy, love him, okay? And then we say, Oakland soul, and I'm all for women's sports. You know that if you watch my channel. But they played at Cal State Hayward. That's not in Oakland, all right? I mean, let's just take the red pill on this. You had all these Oakland council members going to Hayward to celebrate a team with an Oakland name. And they think it's okay, and yet the Coliseum sits there not properly used to its greatest extent. All right? You want to tell me that's right? And then the Coliseum Joint Powers Authority hasn't met in 2 months and counting? There's something really wrong with this picture, folks. All right? It is massively wrong. All right? And so And so, problem is not just Oakland, but California drove people and businesses like Oracle out. People want to deny all and just blame team. Yeah, and the other problem, as much as I love my home California, is that we have a habit of doing this kind of behavior when it comes to large scale public private partnerships, and it's gone for years. Let's take Oakland out of the equation for a second, and I present to you the episode of the superconducting super collider. The superconducting super collider should have been in California. We had the technical expertise, the know-how, the infrastructure. But we let them go to Texas with nary a fight. All right, with nary a fight. And so that paved the way, arguably, for the scientific community infrastructure that led to what Elon Musk is trying to do and basically launch his Mars exposition from Texas when I think it should be, if it's not going to be Florida, then make it California. We don't fight for these things. And it's not that we can't. For all of the pretenses of, liberalism and progressivism, we're really a conservative state. We really are. We really let the market dominate what happens to us. And yet we try to hide the ball from you and say, "Oh yeah, we're really liberal." Give me a break. It says Vegas has come a long way from its beginnings as a tiny train stop. Yep. He says no one has ever called out the mayor for her. We are blank 88 million short of a deal statement. She never tried to find that money from private business or billionaires in the Bay Area. But you don't. Here's the thing, though, and I'm glad you brought that up. You don't need to find it. If you'd done tax increment financing correctly, you had it like that, and much more. Excuse me, 1.6 billion? And then not only that, if you actually read from top to bottom, which a lot of people don't do with SB 293 Skinner because we're in a society that doesn't like to read the whole thing, you would realize that tax increment financing money called for you as a city of Oakland to, in the context of the infrastructure financing, the infrastructure financing plan, to identify projects of community-wide significance, not within the redevelopment area, the tax increment financing collection area, but they could be in East Oakland, okay, or in any other area. It would have provided the city council with a golden opportunity to get money to key projects for districts. But all that was not even done. And these are politicians who want to get reelected. They have a golden goose opportunity to send money for key community-wide projects in their districts, and they blew it without even knowing they blew it because the city staff didn't even consider to do it and didn't even try. It was always, we can't. We can't. It was always, I heard this, we can't, versus this. And now the A's don't have to worry about that in the Las Vegas context, which is a big loss for everybody. Everybody. All right. So, says the mayor should have gone on TV and said, I can't find the money. You don't need to leave. Let's figure out how. That's too late, though. All right. Shang cannot be expected. I'm going to say something in defense of Shang here. All right. Shangtown cannot be expected to undo what Libby did like that. Because by the time Shang became elected, in part because of her own behavior, the A's were already, even though they were already out the door anyway, they were more out. They were more out the door. Okay, they were more out the door. All right. Shang didn't try to curry favor with them early on. Shang made it clear that she was, if anything, kind of on the fence about the whole thing. All right. And then became supportive because she didn't want to be, hung with having lost the A's. But the reality is it's not entirely her fault. It really isn't. And it's wrong to blame her for it's wrong to blame her for road that was paved by my god sister. All right. That's wrong. Period. End of story. It is wrong. And it's wrong for all of the mayors to be blamed singularly for what really is the problem, which is our strong mayor system, because it leads to over politicization of large scale projects. We don't have a convention center, folks. Okay. We don't even have a new police administrative building. We talked about that for 25 years, and we're still zero on that. I can go on and on and on. There are a lot of we don't haves because we're always figuring out a way to not do them. I've lived this stuff for a generation. California did not fight for projects, not because of laziness, because of anti-business. They didn't want the projects. And this is from a Marvel point of view. Vegas is Thanos and Infinity Gauntlet, and the Stones are the sports leagues. Two more to go: NBA and MLS, and they're going to get them because they rightly view sports as economic development. Dave Compton says, "Now all Oakland has is tumbleweeds rolling down the Bay Area streets. That's the picture I have in mind now. Oakland will no more be on the map as a sports city." And Compton, Mr. Compton, is a constant investor in us. So it is wrong that I have not invited him to join us. So I'm guessing going to do that right now. And I'm not quite done with that, but with the Bally's press release, but I'm going to go and see if I can bring Mr. Compton in and just at least send him an invite via email. So Dave, if you're seeing this, all right, I will compose KOM. That's not it. I think I'll do this another way. I'll just say link LINK and I'll text it to him. Link there. I'll put that there. And bear with me, folks. This should take a lot less time than I'm taking. And boom. Okay, so I got that out of the way and done. And while that's going, then I'll get. He says, I only blame her for a lack of interest while I'm running and her few months in office. I believe she didn't speak up in favor of the city and hard work enough. What Shang should have done is, like, for example, I formed the Oakland Sports Forum back in 2014 because I was concerned then about us losing our sports teams. And 14 out of 15 mayoral candidates came to my event, including Rebecca Kaplan, where she proudly stated that she wanted an WNBA in Oakland. I have that on video. So anyone could do that. Any elected official could have done that. Any person running for office could have done that. Okay. Any concerned citizen could have done it. There's nothing stopping anybody. But and Shang could have done that this time around, but it wasn't important to them. And what happens is that it's always the see this over here. It's more important than that over there. So what we got this time around was, well, sports isn't important. The whole thing that Jerry Brown started, really, or that sports doesn't produce jobs. And no one ever stops to think when they say these things among elected officials in Oakland, either past or present, they never, except Elihu. I'll give Elihu a break here. Plus, he's my friend. But the whole point, and like another dad, but the whole point is, the simple fact of the matter is that Oakland did not, and I repeat, Oakland did not think about sports the right way. When I started the sports commission, still the only time Oakland has actually had a sports commission recognized by the National Association of Sports Commission, and that's why I can mark that as history. Because, all right, I said, hey, look, the Coliseum can take 200 different types of sports events. You don't just think of it as, well, the A's, or how you feel about one of the A's owners, or the Raiders owners, or the Warriors, or anybody else. No, it's a business. And what happens when you get all of these sports events? They're on television. So Oakland National Rodeo, right? Oakland National Cheerleading Championships. Oakland, everything with Oakland on it, either by Oakland or hosted in Oakland at the Coliseum. What does it mean? It means tourism. That's what it means. It means people coming to you to go to these events, to see the city, to spend money in the city, which helps the small business owner. But Oakland didn't get that message. Instead, we have people telling us how they feel about sports. That's got nothing to do with it. But what's going on in Oakland is part of the DNA of people who run for office now. They always feel like they have to make themselves look equal to the sports, owner. And that's not what it's all about. They are as powerful because they represent the public. But that shouldn't even be an issue. You shouldn't have to show how big you are and all that. You're trying to get something done on behalf of the people. So anyway, JF says, by contrast, Boring Company must building underground Las Vegas loop, likely near Tropicana, site, airport, rest of strip, driving underground in Teslas. How cool is that? Very cool. I remember way back in 1981, I came up with the idea for the Oakland monorail around Lake Merritt, right? going into downtown. I still think it should be done. And redevelopment allowed us to really think about stuff like that. It really did. But imagination. Okay, why not? Um, Sports teams are basically long tourist ads for their host cities. Thank you. How Oakland didn't understand that boggles yeah, it does boggle the mind. And guess what? Vegas Mark 725. What's worse is that Oakland had this attitude, and it increased at the wrong time. The emergence of the internet age of media production, where having a produced sports event allows you more content with your name in it. So now, if you take a look at Oakland as a name, the city, over the timeline of on Google, all right, in terms of Google search and Google Trends, you will see a dip that coincides starting with the loss of the Raiders and then the Warriors, so that Oakland is basically now one half in terms of exposure of what it was. And guess what's going to happen when the A's are gone and becomes Las Vegas? It's going to dip even more. By how much? I would say by arguably 75% of what we knew as Oakland online will be gone. Gone. All right, in terms of constant daily mentions, gone. That's more than damaging. That's literally killing your city's image overnight. Okay, overnight. Okay, and he says, "How do you know this? By the way, you are the best." Thank you. Because if that's a very good question. I'll show it to you regarding Google Trends here. Then I'm supposed to go to my other show. Let me make sure I got the comment. First of all, I'll come back to the Bally's thing. I'm going to show you Google Trends because I think it's very important for you to know. First of all, know what Google Trends is, right? And then go here. And what I'm going to do is shift this screen, stop that screen, go here, share screen like this to Google Trends, and voila, that's Google Trends. But let me enlarge it more to this, okay? And then go here. And what you do is you can explore, right? So let's add a search term, Oakland. I love the way that they've changed. This is more Ajax oriented, right? Oakland search term, right? Boom. Okay. This is interest over time from 2022 to now. But let's change this to, let's see what it looks like from 2004 to the present. And look at this, folks. Can you see this? Hold on a second. Sorry. Let me make sure I can scroll down here. Look at this. You see what I'm talking about here? Look at this. Look at this long-term decline, folks. This makes me cry. This is literally the death of our city writ large. Okay? Look at this. All right, this is how we've sunk. This is simple mentions of Oakland. This is basic. All right? Basic. Oh, I'm sorry, Dave. I'm sorry. Let me get this to you. Oh God, I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it looks, and so it is. It's just this is what's going on with us, and it's only going to get worse. Okay, it's only going to get worse. Hold on a second, trying to get Dave's. Whoo, man, that is unbelievable. I mean, just completely crazy that we allowed this to happen. So Dylan, I hope this answers your question. You said, "How do I know this?" By the way, look at this dip, right? Let me go back here and point this out. Look, this is September 2019, Oakland, right? This is a drop here. You know what this coincides with? First of all, the pandemic. This is the height here was when, look at that, July 2019, okay? Right here, May, June, right? Then it took off. All right, there. This had to do with surrounding the Warriors, and then of course the Raiders. All right, and we have here. Okay, that's what's going on. That's what's going on here, and then it dips, and it dips because after this, there's no more Oakland Raiders. Okay, and then we don't have Golden State Warriors in Oakland playing at Oracle Arena in Oakland. So you're taking Oakland off of there. So we had here to here. Look at this decline. Imagine what it looks like, and this includes the A's still playing. But imagine what this is going to look like without the A's. So we're looking at this. Look at that decline, like right down there. All right, but further out. Okay, further out here. Okay, this is tragic, folks. This is tragic. You understand what I'm saying? This is tragic. This is why you should be angry with the government. This is what's going on. The government is at the center of all of this, and the government has let this happen. And now they want you and your anger against over the departure of the Athletics and John and Dave to basically sort of wash over the truth. All right, all right. I mean, this hurts to watch. It is. I'm trying to get your. I'm looking at. Sorry, Dave. I am emoting at the time. I'm trying to get you your. And I found it. I'm sorry, Dave. Let me get this out to you, buddy. Just did this the wrong. Okay, yeah. Here we go. Let me copy this and do that. Hold it together for a second because I'm really upset, and rightly so, because you're seeing the death of an urban image online over time. Okay, you're seeing where it's headed. All right, to where we will be called at some point East San Francisco. And if San Francisco tries to annex us, you heard it here first. That will be the ultimate insult. And I'll bet you we don't fight back either. That's what we're headed toward, folks. Completely. That's what we're headed toward. And okay, so I got Dave his thing. All right, now. And he says, if the 2018 SCOTUS ruling on sports betting didn't wake up California regarding gambling, then probably nothing will. Yeah, we didn't straighten it out. And nothing against Indian gaming and the recovery and the development of great casinos like San Marcos Casino and San Manuel, which actually is a Raiders sponsor. All right. But look, we didn't leave it so that one can make the argument that if we vote for sports betting, then a whole new floodgate of business opportunities will open up for many different types of small businesses. We didn't list that at all. And we let Indian gaming have basically a scenario where you still have to go to them to deal with it as opposed to a market. So we created basically a sort of a government within a government. And we expected people to sort of rubber stamp that. And that's just not right. All right. Thank you, bro. Thank you so much. He says the chart, basically Oakland's, yeah. And hey, Dave, how are you?
Pretty good.
Let me see. I can't hear you so well. Okay. Yeah, that's better. What do you think about all this, Dave?
You know, for me, the sad part about it is that, be it I was born and raised right there, everything that you spoke about it, I've seen it. Um, actually, I saw it the first time around when the Raiders left Oakland, and the tumbleweed part I was talking about was something that I had in visioned because my Sundays were always filled with the Raiders. What was going on? Okay, and so that's where that came from. But just as time went on, you see how things started to go downhill. And speaking to you about a lot of the issues and everything because of how much you keep up on it, and so forth. It's good to get the information from you, but it's sad at what you're saying.
It's very
You
sad.
know, and what you just said regarding regarding Oakland becoming, we say, East San Francisco.
Yeah. East San
Ooh,
Francisco. There's no other way to put it because we don't have an identity of our own. Those sports teams we're our identity. Now, for those of you who would say we have it in our music, sure, but look, do we try to express it or embrace it in a way that Atlanta embraces its black music? No. Oakland has spent a lot of its existence apologizing for being a black city. All right. And I don't mean to go there, but it's true. And
That's
so,
bad.
but I say it that way at this context, folks. Just I really need you to don't go away. All right. But I want you to understand something. Oakland didn't take its identity and boost it and use commercials and say, look, we know you like this music. This is us. Come here. All right. And then it has this, but get this. It has the same opportunity to do that with a number of ethnicities. And it's not doing it. It's not embracing its culture, putting in a commercial or bow and putting it out there and saying, come to us. America's
Right.
great. Oakland is not proud to be Oakland. And so Oakland allows these bad stories about it to be told because Oakland is not proud of itself. And so what happens, these stories make it less proud. And you get driven and driven and driven and driven and driven into our heads. And it's a self-fulfilling tidal wave, negative thought that has washed over the city and quite literally directed its negative economic development. And he says, speaking of gaming, California Tribe says, look at this, Dave, buys Palm Casino in Vegas for 650 million. Bingo. It says, but here in Vegas, San Manuel, who owns the Palms, has to play by Nevada rules, not by tribal rules. It's a great point. Like in their case, back in San Bernardino, and Joseph Webster says, hey, Joe says Oakland lost Tupac, who left for LA. Right. Absolutely. We lost, and we let the Warriors. I'm going to say this. If the Warriors remained in Oakland, the Warriors would have kicked the Lakers' butt. That would not have went down at Oracle. I'm just saying it
Right.
just like that. I don't care how anybody feels. I look at the Warriors games in San Francisco, and you've got, look, opening of the third quarter during the playoffs, and a lot of seats are empty because people are milling around rather than right there yelling, okay? So no. I mean, the Warriors went there to make billions that later Joe Lacob said he could have done in Oakland. He said that, okay? And yet they're in San Francisco, and it's like they can't even rule their home court. Am I wrong, Dave?
No, I understand what you're saying. I agree with you on that right there. The sad part about that was that in terms of them leaving in the first place, and you're right. It would seem to be that that Oakland had given its teams maybe just like Al Davis said, it was just it gave them that I don't give a damn attitude to win. Okay. And so what did he say? His quote, just win.
Or just win,
Okay.
baby.
And that's just it. So Oakland had produced a lot of winning teams itself. But it just seems like right now, the picture that I have in mind is that the city is trying to seriously clean up the city of its image.
Yeah.
And create something new, as opposed to the way that it was known, or it's known, shall I say. And so this is where we are right now. At least this is what I feel. My opinion is just that, because I was talking with my sisters and brothers, and I talk with them online. It's like I'm talking to you right now. And so and they all say the same thing, is that they're just getting rid of everything. Or shall I say, it would seem to be that when you talked about that new ballpark down at, was that Howard Terminal? Is that right?
Yeah, Howard Terminal. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. When you talked about that, you didn't know they talked about gentrification, and I didn't quite understand that right there. But and thinking about it now, it would seem to be like that they're trying to do the whole city that way.
Yeah, and that's right. They haven't learned at all. But here's my point. I want to get too technical here, but I will say this, that Oakland did not it didn't first of all, I think what you're talking about happening, I don't think is intentional. I think it's a result of no vision and lack of a desire to unlock resources to spend, like enhanced infrastructure financing district revenue. Mayor Tao ran on a platform in part that she was going to use that for affordable housing and then didn't do it. And no one asked why, except me. Okay.
Yeah.
And yet now they're bragging. They say that, oh, they have the largest expenditure of affordable housing in the city's history. That's not true. We had a greater one year over year when redevelopment was active. So, but the trouble is that they weren't around to know that. And so now it's like, hey, don't pay attention to the past. Pay attention to us now. Uh,
Right.
you know, and that's not going to do it. That's not doing anybody any good. That's not fact at all. We are in massive trouble as a city. We have communicated that we are a city that is not worth investing in because people who are investing in are running away. And get this, it has nothing to do with racism at all. It used to be in the pre-Jerry Brown era that we were plagued by institutional investor racism. I remember when Phil Tagami was trying to almost worked himself to literal death trying to get the rotunda built, and he got a letter, and I got a copy of the letter too from the United Colors of Benetton because I was Elihu Harris economic advisor at the time, and specifically this was 1996, and they basically sent a letter that says we can't be in your city because it's too dark. Well, what they didn't put it that way. They said it wasn't the right demographic. We knew what that meant, and Phil hit the ceiling because he knew what that meant. Jerry Brown came
Yeah.
along, all right, and stopped all that. He made it okay for white people to spend their money in the core of Oakland. And then he encouraged it through the 10K program. But guess what we had then that we don't have now? We had redevelopment to collect the extra tax increment revenue from all of those new buildings. So the marriage was smart until Jerry came along as governor and took it away from us under the idea, and it was just an idea and it was a wrong one, that, hey, if we didn't do it, that the state was going to go into bankruptcy or lose money. Turned around, that a number of organizations and people calculated that we could have saved redevelopment and still maintained $1 billion surplus at least at the time, at least. Okay. And then later, Jerry came along and said, like 4 years ago, that he didn't want public expenditures for affordable housing in his downtown around his elegant restaurants. He said that. Okay. He said that. And so that sets the tone for basically the idea that, well, hey, Jerry, you really did want this gentrification all along, didn't you? And you weren't happy you weren't getting it soon enough. But we had a beautiful combination of affordable housing, market rate housing, money flowing to build affordable housing, and if we kept it up, extremely affordable housing, then Jerry came along and killed it. All right? And everybody said that's okay because it's Jerry. And that's how they acted. Instead of criticizing Jerry to a point where they would say, I'm going to take you to court over this, they would just quote him as if they were quoting God or Jesus Christ. I believe in Jesus Christ. All right? I don't know about anybody else. But my point is, you don't let people do that. But Jerry Brown's specter is all over Oakland to a point where the A's were driven out of town by, what do I mean? I mean strong mayor. Strong mayor was set up for Jerry because it was well known that Jerry didn't want to come to the council meetings. But again, the way it was put, it was like, oh, that's okay. Jerry doesn't want to come. Like, it's cool. All right. Except Elihu didn't think it was cool. Elihu Sarah says, I came to every city council member's meeting as mayor. I faced the public. But Jerry didn't want to do that. And Jerry set the tone for how mayors behaved after him. That the idea that I'm going to make this a political face or whatever it is, and my face goes on it because I'm the mayor and I'm strong mayor and everything else. And it has ruined us. We killed the city manager. No one knows what the city managers have done as administrators because it's always the mayor's face on it. Ed Reskin was in for a year and a half, maybe two. Came in and literally left. It was like a country club for him, and then he got a cush job as vice chancellor. All right, enough of that. So my point. So anyway, go ahead.
So,
you just joined us.
Jerry,
I want you to look at this. All right,
go ahead.
That That is awful. This is our decline, folks. This is in our face. This is our past, our present, and our future, and its decline. The literal decline of mention of Oakland online. That's what you're looking at, folks, on Google. All right? Because we're losing our sports teams. We're chasing them away, and with it, we're chasing away our identity and our marketing. Free marketing. I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead. What are you
No,
going to
because
say?
I was one. I left Oakland back in '91, in June of '91. Okay, to move to Washington State. Jerry Brown, is that right? Was mayor of Oakland.
No, Jerry
What
Brown.
year?
No, Jerry Brown was mayor. Not 91. 91 was
No, I
we
said
had.
that's when I left.
Yeah, that was Lionel Wilson who was mayor then, and they get Lionel
Yeah.
gave away to Elihu. Lionel gave away to Elihu.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
My
started working for
my
Elihu
point
in 90. Go ahead. I'm
my
sorry.
point in saying that was that you talked about what Jerry Brown did in terms of it didn't seem like that he was building up, like he was tearing down, and he left a legacy. It seemed like for any of the other mayors to come in and kind of follow behind him. And so at this point here, you showing that graphic of everything going downhill was that it was almost like saying that he succeeded in what he started out to do. Okay. And who
Well,
knows,
but in fairness to Jerry, though, Jerry didn't start out with the idea of destroying Oakland. Jerry came to Oakland to do what most folks do when they come to California: burnish their own personal credentials for whatever it is they want to do. In Jerry's case, he was a notable and controversial two-term governor during the 70s. And I remember, Jerry didn't fight against Prop 13. He let Jarvis and Gann ran it through and
yeah,
ruined our school system. Okay. And he then allowed himself to be kind of his image changed by the whole moonbeam thing. So he came to Oakland with a personal directive of changing how people looked at him because he wanted to be president. And let's not forget that Jerry Brown tried to be president 3 times. All right. And frankly speaking, I think he would have made a great president. That's another story. But the
yeah,
fact of the matter is, that's what he wanted. I mean, I remember being in the room with Jerry after, before our Super Bowl pitch, and he apologized for me how he treated me because he knew it was wrong. That's another story. But this was the 2000 election. Remember the hanging chads and all that. And
right,
we were both glued to the set. What was going on at the convention, and that was his world. That's his world. That's his thing. He knows everybody there. That's his thing. And so he wanted to get back to that level. So Jerry was using Oakland to rebuild himself. And then he went from Oakland to become attorney general, an effective one. And he went from attorney general to governor. And he got in like that. And I said to myself, I said, Jerry is in his rightful place as governor. But that does not mean, and I said then, I thought it was wrong to do the wrecking and redevelopment that he did, because in wrecking and redevelopment, as I think it was someone put it, they said that Jerry, as mayor, took all the advantages of redevelopment, and then he basically left it at somebody so that nobody else, in terms of his predecessors, could enjoy the same advantages as he did. And that's true.
yeah.
Okay, that's true. All right. So
It's just that. Go ahead, go ahead.
so Vegas Mark says, I'm kind of shocked San Francisco hasn't already annexed Daly City. I wouldn't put it past them to rename Oakland to East SF. And he says a Raiders spirit led to huge fan base while in LA, which is carried over to Las Vegas. And yeah, and so that's the thing. What I'm disappointed in is that the Oakland Athletics fan base did not come to play in politics this time. And I understand why they didn't. There have been so many things that have happened to Californians. The fires up north caused a number of people, that's something else that's forgotten, caused a number of people to relocate. And that people who passed away in Napa, people whose families were affected. And then we had the pandemic. So there's a double dose of harm with those disasters and the great number of neighborhoods that were taken out all over the Northern Bay Area. And then we had the pandemic, which really further wrecked everything. And so A's fans were just and have been just really trying to stay on their feet. I get that. but you do have the internet, and you can easily use it to direct an activist plan to get government involved in the rebuilding now of the sports industry, or and pointing out what the government hasn't done. And I'm sorry, as much as I love Rebecca Kaplan as a personal friend, Rebecca needs to stop going out and picking on the commissioner of baseball, or trying to. I don't think the commissioner of baseball even sees it, um, or any other Nevada person. She's government. She's inside the government. So the question is, what are you doing, and what do you need to do? Forget them. That ship is sailed. And throwing spitballs at them through a social media site isn't going to change anything. Yet that's what she's doing. I mean, come on. And so Vegas says strong mayor system. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Council manager is the way to go. And so I'm not in favor of a council manager as we had it. Oakland needs something where people can hold the mayor accountable, but it has to be in such a way that it doesn't mean that the city administrator automatically gets the axe. The city administrator should answer to the mayor directly, but the mayor should have veto power. I think would be better, and as opposed to firing, because when you start lopping off your city administrator, it sends a signal to the people under that person that their jobs are next. And so guess what they do? They fly. And that's a lot what has produced our instability to this point. So I'm sorry, David, go ahead.
Yeah, but I guess to say that I'm looking at this point here, with everything that you said, spoke on, and so forth. It just seems to be that give it time, and give it time with Oakland, and Oakland will be an entirely different city altogether. Okay, and everything you talk about, perhaps that could have been done and so forth. It seemed like at this point it's all in vain. They're not hearing anything. They don't want to hear anything. They want to do what they want to do for that city. Your ideas are good, but the thing about it is, it seems like it's falling on deaf ears because of, and I'm not sure who's behind the total workings of just trying to revamp that city. But wow, it just that's what it seems to me, that give it I don't know, a couple of years, I don't know, perhaps 3 or 4 years, and you see something totally different. Who knows? Could be another San Francisco. Itself. It wouldn't surprise me, like you said.
Oakland at-large council member Rebecca Kaplan sent me this note. She writes, thanks, and I'm doing the thing you criticize me for not doing. I am working to make sure we bring other activities, sports, and investments. And that's true. She is doing that. I hope you're well, too. I love her very much. It's not personal. We all love our city, And so she writes, Oakland community, including those who work, or tweets, I should say, at the Coliseum, deserve a vibrant future for this large, centrally located site, including with jobs, revenue, community engagement, and more. Thanks to the African American Sports Entertainment Group and Roots and Soul Soccer for advancing this effort. Rebecca, you know, and I know, and everybody knows that those organizations, the Roots and Oakland Soul, need to be in the Coliseum, not playing at Cal State Hayward. It's Hayward. I want it for Oakland,
Right. What's the point of me giving that?
Yeah. And so Vegas says, I fear the Oakland Roots are making a big mistake with their proposed side stadium instead of just soccerizing the Coliseum. It is a huge mistake. It's a huge mistake because drainage, pedestrian traffic, floods, because the water and table and where it's going down, and the fact that the sea level rise problem is acute down there because you're getting closer to the basin. And on top of that, you're going to need an EIR to justify that location and the economic impact it's going to have. Why are you going to pull everything away from the Coliseum, which is actually designed to handle it? Okay. And then not only that, what does it say for wheelchair access and everything else? By transportation. If I take it to BART, that means I have to go through 2 stadiums to get there.
Right.
That's ridiculous. I got to go through the stadium and the arena. So no. And yet the city the way things are doing, the Coliseum Joint Powers Authority is just letting them have their day and pushing it out there rather than giving them an alternative that works and then insisting on it and monetizing it, which the Coliseum could do. The Coliseum ought to be its own enhanced infrastructure financing district. But hey, all right. So here we go. All right. And let me see if I can get Elihu in on this because I'm going to blindside him, and then I've got to work on closing this out because of the time. But oh, I want to thank this man for helping to sponsor our NFL draft coverage from Kansas City. Couldn't have done it without you, my friend. Dave,
Not a
you're the
problem.
man.
You're welcome.
You're the man. You're the man. Let me see if I can get. Hmm. I was gonna. What time is it there? It's 7:23. I don't want to do that to him because he hates being blindsided. So I'm not gonna blindside him. I'll just pick another time and we'll do it we'll do it that way. I'm not gonna blindside anybody tonight.
And who is this?
Oh, Elihu. You know
Wait.
Elihu, the mayor of Oakland. Yeah. So at any rate, let's take us out. We've been on for an hour and 6 minutes. I think that's long enough. For now, I've got my. I was going to start a second one about Oakland's government, but I think what I'll do is no. I actually, you know what? I'll start that next. So Dave, I'm got another link I'm going to send to you about Oakland's government. So folks, we're going to shift over there, and I'll show you where the there is. First of all, Dave, I don't know if you can grab, or anybody else, you want to grab this invite copy here. Here is the invite. Can you see that, Dave? You want me to? I'm going to send that to you right now. Oh, excuse me. That's for this. You already have that. What I'm talking about is the other thing. Can tell that graphic so upset me. Wow. Okay. Now, and I'm going to, there's invite guests, copy, and then I'm going to send that to you via email. Compose. Oh no, you didn't get it that way. I'm gonna text it to you. Sorry. And then I'll put that here. And then this. All right, so that's there. And now I'll go up to the phone here. And there's that. And yeah, I don't have this appropriately hooked up to send you by a text through the computer, but I will. Messages and Dave Compton. All right. So Dave, I just sent you the link to that next one. And folks, where that's going to be is here. I've got invite guests there, copy. And this right here, this is it. Dave Joseph Wheeler says you're a cool dude. This is the other link if you want to be on camera or anything. I don't do the audio, folks, because I like for people to show their face and speak honestly. That's the next one. So in terms of where the link is going to be overall, I am now putting that out on social media, and I'm going back to StreamYard. And notice how I talk myself through things because I don't want to screw up, folks. So anyway, yeah, it is this one. I'll give you a preview of what it looks like so you can spot it. All right, here's the preview right here. Let me take this down and go to share screen, go here. And here it is. There it is. There it is, Dave. There you go. Oakland government lost the A's to Las Vegas. Straight out to the point. Okay, there it is. That's our next discussion. Won't be long on this one, folks, because a lot of it we already covered here. So I don't like to,
reiterate.
Right. Well, not too much. I don't mind doing it to an extent. So anyway, folks, we're going to go over there. I'm going to go and fire that up right now. Dave, that ends this broadcast. Thank you very much, sir. Hey, Dave, stick around in the background. Folks, thank you. Join us over there. We're going over there right now. If you want to, like I said, you want to comment on something, copy that, paste it, in terms of being on the camera, you can, of course, write in the normal way. All right, but that ends this broadcast. I'm ending this broadcast now. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube, and please bookmark Oakland,